Today's video is going to be kind of different. A friend of mine who runs a local quilt shop invited me to give a short presentation on some of my favorite quilts and how I made them at one of their regular events. This is a recording of the live event that took place at her store, so please pardon any stray noises or glitches in the presentation. This isn't quite the kind of organized, edited project video I usually post, but I hope you'll enjoy it anyway. Here we go. So I am a show quilter, you might say, but mostly now I do YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, which I'm just trying to get started up. And I make quilts that are pictorial in nature, for the most part, and not too enormous. And occasionally I'll make a utility snuggle quilt, but that's not for show, because I'm not very good at piecing. So, yeah. So I'm going to show you these things in chronological order. I have been sewing since I was 5, and I am 76. But I didn't start quilting until about 20 years ago. So, and I thought, oh, it's going to be easy. I know how to sew. I can quilt. Well, I found I had a whole lot of things I had to learn as quilters. So the first quilt I entered in a show was a Hoffman Challenge. And this is Hoffman Challenge 2004, I think. You can't really see it. And so I got some very nice comments from the judges.
Why don't you let us hold that?
Yes. You guys hold it. My daughter-in-law Beth and my friend Anita are going to be yeah. Make sure everybody can see it. Can you see it over here? Okay. So that one if I were the judge now, I would be able to tell you what's problems with it, but I still love it. You know, his broderie purse that's broderie purse, and that was the So there you go. That's the first one. And of course it didn't place, but it did give me some encouragement that they let it in. and then this is one I did. I don't know. Can you see what year it is on the back there? Does it have it? 2010. 2010. Also Hoffman? This is also a Hoffman later down the road. And the thing I liked about it was I learned how to do that coral, especially the coral, and then I did a lot of embroidery, some of it in the hoop.
How did you do that thing?
That's an in the hoop embroidery. Yeah, and I learned a lot. Every time I do a quilt, I learn a lot. Even now, I still learn a lot. So that's the next one. And then this one was pretty much my last Hoffman quilt. Was it 2012? I think it's 2012.
2011.
2011. Okay. Make sure people over here, they're kind of leaning. Maybe you can come down this way a little more. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this one actually got a ribbon. This is my first Hoffman Challenge ribbon. It got 2 ribbons. It went to that Irish show. They did one Irish show, and so it's
definitely not an Irish person.
No, it's not an Irish person. That's a fabric company. They have a challenge every year. This year is their 30th year, and they have the most beautiful fabric for this year. And I'm not going to enter because I don't have time.
You're going to tell them what that is?
This is broderie purse from the fabric, and
but there is some fabric that has that flower at the top there, because I bought a piece of that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was Hoffman, but I have a piece of it that I
It's all Hoffman fabric.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Can we see the back?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought it was okay.
Oh, but that's stitch
Yeah.
work really well there.
And I love quilting. I love free motion quilting more than anything, but I also like straight line quilting that I use my walking foot with, or I used to, and now mostly.
That's how she got the fans.
Right, right. So this was long before I had a Q20. So this is all done in my regular sewing machine.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I got my Q20 6 years ago, and anything before that was quilted in my sewing machine. So now the next one is just one I made. It's 2017. There used to be a company called MQX, which had an annual show, two shows a year, and they had a contest with this. This is a panel in the middle. It's a Hawaiian vintage panel, and the challenge was to take the Hawaiian vintage panel and make a quilt with it. So I made two. The other one I gave to my brother and his wife when they had their 50th wedding anniversary, so I don't have yet. But then I made this one, which is a little different, but sort of similar. And it gave me a chance to practice my quilting, background quilting especially.
So you said that's a pack.
Yeah, turn it to the,
Let's show the back.
what?
Is it okay if I take a picture of that?
Oh, yes, please. It's quite okay to have pictures.
The
What?
blue and the white, the blue flower and the white is a panel, or just the blue flower?
Just the middle part is the panel. I did the binding, and then I did the painting. I painted the birds on.
Yeah, this was added to the quilt, and these were painted.
Okay, okay. So so
This coloring,
That's a paint job
okay.
that they used to do. It's an old old Hawaiian thing that was very popular, and there are still some panels left. And so the wife of the guy who did the paneling, who's passed on now, gave us permission to use the panels for a quilt show, and so that's what that was.
So did you do trapunto in that, or is just?
I never use real trapunto, but I often use 2 layers of batting.
Oh,
The back layer is probably cotton based, and the front layer is wool, and that gives you a fake trapunto, especially when you have a substantial.
this is denser quilted, which
Right.
makes these pop a little bit more with that double layer.
Right. So it gives you, it's called the false trapunto in a way.
so just in areas you would put.
Yeah, whatever you don't quilt, especially with wool, whatever you don't quilt punches out, whatever you do stays in. And so it's a wonderful day.
As the 2 layers of
Yes,
batting,
the
right?
whole
I
quilt.
think that's what you were asking.
Yeah.
Okay. The next is, then I decided to get real about the quilt show business, and I love ancient manuscripts, which are illustrated. And this is the first one of my illustrated ancient manuscripts quilt. This is Canterbury silk. This is 2014, and it is a very big combination of stuff. The vine, the tree of life in the middle. This is like a Jacobean thing, a tree of life in the middle. I digitized in the Bernina software, and then I stitched in the hoop. And then the birds and the flowers are appliqued, and the border is free motion stitched and then painted. And the text is in the hoop, and so it's and then I added beads and buttons. And so, and the painting, I use 3 or 4 colors, so I guess it's some depth and stuff, And that one won quite a few ribbons, and one of them was an AQS second place. So I was at Paducah. So what?
You use set of color?
I use set of color, and there's also another one I sometimes use if I don't have the, but it escapes me.
The glitter comes in the paint?
The glitter comes in the paint. There's a glitter paint. After you finish painting it, you can put a layer of glitter on it, but it's painted on so it doesn't flake off in the annoying way that glitter
Yes.
That's right. And so that is Canterbury silk. And this one is Canterbury Night. And all taken from the Canterbury Tales, you know. And that is, when is that? 2015. Okay.
Just have to look at the back of it in a minute, too.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Actually, I really like the back of this one too. If you
Yeah.
can see the backs.
Yeah, we did show
This one's got all the colors on it too that I thought like way this one.
Sometimes I change the colors in the bobbin, sometimes I don't. And both of those are all silk or silk cotton. There's a silk cotton blend called Radiance by Hoffman. That's a very nice. They used to have a lot of colors. Now they only have like 5. But
How did you do the border? Is it embroidered on or is it that?
the border is multiple. It is free motion quilted
That's all quilt?
and then painted. And then these things, like this one, and this one are applique. Okay.
And quilted.
I
Yeah.
can tell you this whole side down here is all paint.
Yeah, that's paint. And the little boy with the horn and the various things, those are applique, but I did paint on the applique. So
Y'all should come sit in here. It is, yeah, it's cool. Y'all want to come up here? Seriously.
no. Now this one is fun. This one was designed by Ken. And I took his design and I made it. Now the background castle wall is printed at Spoonflower. Do you know about Spoonflower? Okay, it's a print on demand. Okay, and I printed the hold it tighter. And I printed the faces and the hands and the swords on my computer, with my computer. And then I appliqued all this rest. Now the chainmail is embroidered, which I worked out in my Bernina embroidery. And it has...
So you created that stitch and then used it, but you used it in such a way that it looks like it's wrinkled, like the little arm is.
Yes,
You know,
I did. It took a lot. And then, of course, you can stretch and change it, you know, and so that it was, I tried to get it so it would match the way they were standing. And so this also is in the hoop that I changed around and moved it so that it was the right dimension. And then I just did. And the heads were bald. At one point I had the whole thing and these bald heads. It was hilarious because the hair is all free motion stitched.
No, you must practice on the side.
Well, I do a lot of practice all the time.
So you're ready.
Well,
Do you have a certain time that you're like better, like in the morning, or you just do a certain routine?
I'm a night owl, so I don't really do it at night, but I do very well in the afternoon. In the mornings, I'm hopeless.
But the lighting, you must have excellent lighting. This is it.
You have to really have good lighting. That's one of the big requirements. And you need a machine that will do what you want it, okay? Now, like,
How long does it take you to do that?
I knew you were going to ask that.
Hours.
I don't really know. It took me about 5 months to create this.
But by hours, I mean,
I can't possibly tell you. So it's a lot.
Do you have dreams about your
Sometimes. Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
Any of them, because they're
Which piece? The
These are
corner
actually the
pieces?
same way as these. The corner stuff.
Yeah, this one, actually,
Big one, yeah.
this one I digitized from a print that we had that was older, you know. And so I cleaned up the print and I digitized the edges. And then I had it stitch the edges, and then I painted the gold in there.
Again, that's using the paint that has the glitter in it to get that.
Right, actually you put the glitter on second. Yeah, and this one, this is interesting because I did ruler work to get this part done, okay, and to get all those things. And then after I sandwiched it, you know, and did the ruler work, then I took some monopoly thread after it was painted and ready to go, except you couldn't see the ins and outs. Took monopoly thread and restitched where so that it would make it look like it was going under and over and all that. Yeah, yeah. So this is Pinned Dragon. It's my King Arthur quilt.
Can you see the back of that?
Yes.
It's amazing. I see the back. I'll see what's.
Wow. The stitching really shows up on the
Yes.
And this one is mostly silk.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find the green in silk, so the green is polyester satin, and polyester crepe back satin makes a satisfactory substitute for silk when you're doing this kind of work. And of course, it washes, it doesn't shrink, and you keep all that in mind, you know. So, yes. But you can, you know, later after, let me get through the whole thing. Now, then I do some architectural things. And this one is Dad's house plan. Now, my father has passed, but when he was alive, he wanted always to design and build his own house. And he never quite got that done because of life. And so I made it for him. So this is a blueprint. He used to have blueprints because he was a civil engineer. He had blueprints at home all the time, and so I knew what they looked like. And so I was inspired to do regular old blueprints. They now I think are white with black, but then they were blue with white. Mm-hmm. And so this is the pattern.
Great idea. My dad was a custom home builder. He would draw his own blueprints. He was incredible.
Yes.
On an 8th grade level education.
Right. It's amazing what they did. But
Great idea.
you know, but anyway, then I did the rendition in the middle, the rending of the.
I would buy that half.
Yes, I would too.
I would too.
And the stonework is impressive, and you had to come up with, you know, to make it 3D, to make it look beautiful.
That's basically quilting.
Yes.
It's appliqué with quilting, and then the path is quilting, which I then colored with markers, and then the grass is decorative stitch that I just did in, you know, decorative stitch, and with a variegated thread. Yeah. So now this one is another architectural quilt. Now both of these have been shown at Houston. I didn't win any ribbons on them, but I think I did win a ribbon on Dad's. Huh?
Where were they shown?
At the Houston International Quilt Festival. Yeah. Yeah. So to me that's like having a ribbon just to get into the show.
Get into Houston, yes.
Yes, right. So anyway, this is perspective in threads, and Jan de Vries was 16th century. I think it's 16th century. Maybe it's 17th century. I can't remember. Jan de Vries was an architect artist that designed a lot of the buildings and structures in in Europe that you see today that you go to look for. So I took one of his drawings, and that's what this is. And I have 4 different weights of thread in this. And so this thing right here, like this, is, if you guys are getting tired, we can switch something. This thing is decorative stitching in lines. Decorative stitching is really helpful when you're doing some of this stuff. You don't always have to do it free motion, okay?
Look at the back.
Yeah, this one's got so you can really see
Yeah, the stitching.
the full stitching.
Yeah. So then,
And you did all of the, when you have, so you did the decorative stitching, but it's a free motion.
some of it's free motion, some of it's,
But the needle is doing the pattern, you're just kind of directing how it does.
that's right. Decorative stitching will go, in circle, in a little bit of,
Winding.
right. So you can use your decorative stitching as part of your quilting or free motion, kind of free motion. But it's not really free motion, of course. And then the straight lines are all with a walking foot. And then everything else is free motion. Well, this one was made on a Bernina 830, but I now have an 880 plus, which is essentially the same. It's just got a lot of improvements. So, but almost any Bernina at least will do this, even.
And that's just so interesting to talk about those decorative stitches because they create texture that you wouldn't have thought of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's because you used the
Right. Now, for this thing here, I printed that out on some what they call gold paper.
Oh yes, the paper you rip away.
Right. And I put it on the thing, and I stitched through it to get this very fine looking thing. It took me a day to get the paper out. Nevertheless, because I was able to print it, I got it really accurate, and so that's how I did that. And, yeah.
We have plenty of questions on that.
So, I also like to do landscapes and seascapes. So this one is the second one of these. The first one is sold. The first one has just one woman, and it's very much more thing. And my quilts are for sale, but most people don't want to put that much in them. Yeah, they are.
So the
When is
blocks and the seed, are those pieced or are those painted?
Pardon?
The storm and seed blocks, are those pieced or are they painted?
I pieced this. This is my one bit of piecing that I've ever shown, and I pieced 3 times that much to get a block that was acceptable. And then I put the blue with it, and I didn't like the way it went, so I over-dyed everything so it kind of matched a little bit. Okay, and then I hand painted the fabric for the sky.
You did not buy a fabric with multicolors in it.
No, it was just a light blue that I painted, and
And how did you get the sails so they are luminous?
glad you asked that. I had a very nice piece of Dover art that showed that particular thing. I printed it 4 times, and each layer has a little bit less on it, a little more sails, a little bit less, and there's a wool bat behind each layer. So there are 4 wool bats on that.
You basically did this separately in that style.
Yeah, I put them on. I applicated them on with the wool.
Oh, you applicated.
Yeah, with the wool on each of the sails, and so it was my idea that make it come out at you.
Definitely,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
When you first held it up.
Yeah. You gonna tell them what this stuff is? What's that? The foam?
Oh, the foam is Angelina fiber, and then of course the hair is all free motion, and
Your
The
husband had a
stones.
beard, but it was just a money-saving activity.
So then I like to also do what we call deep space quilts.
This one hangs in my house.
This is a galaxy quilt, and it's 2018, 2017. Can you see?
Oh, November, no, doesn't have one.
Doesn't have it? Okay.
No,
Sometime.
it's time eternal.
2016. We have a 2016 on it. And this is a whole cloth quilt, but the applique in the middle that makes the galaxy is Angelina fibers. Angelina fibers works kind of like hand painting, you know, finger painting, right? You put it down on your ironing board, and you can burn it, so you have to be real careful with it. And the Angelina fibers are the ones I use are hot fix. They only fix themselves to themselves. They don't fix to anything else. Okay, so you put it on your ironing board, and I usually have a paper or something that shows where I want these swirls to go, and you just keep working with it kind of with your hands and your colors, and then you put a pressing sheet over it and iron it, and you don't iron it too much.
Don't get distracted.
Right, because it'll go black. And so anyway, and then I took it to my Q20. This was one of my first show quilts at my Q20, and I did all the quilting. And this is space dust, and the space dust is stuff I will defer to Beth, who loves this stuff. But anyway, it's space dust that they make, that it comes out with stars. This is a star creating region. It makes stars and spits them out into the universe.
So all of the color just comes from the Angelina, so like the blues and everything.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and this red is.
The red is thread. Yeah. Right. And then of course I put as many different size crystals on it as I could. And some of them are red, and some of them are blue, and most of them are crystal-y.
Crystals on there.
They're hot fix. Yeah.
A little applicator told that you can.
I love hot fix crystals, as you'll see. And so this is I'm making a new one. So I've made 3 of these, but I only brought one because the others are too hard to get down. and I'm making a new one and I use NASA photos.
Yes.
NASA has photos that are copyright free, but you have to read it because not all of them are copyright free. But on their website, you can look, and there are thousands of these beautiful pictures, and they're in color. And so I try to match the color as closely as I can. The color, how do they do the color, Anita?
The colors they have different palettes. This one probably used public palette, but they have different palettes because NASA takes photos in a bunch of different color ranges that are outside of the visible spectrum, so they do colorization on some of those outside colors.
I get them from Art Beads and Fire Mountain Gems online. And if you buy them in the bigger packs, they're a whole lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. So
Yeah, but you use a whole lot.
yeah, well I do. And you see, the spires on the quilt, on the big stars, they actually show up sometimes on the photos. And those I did embroidered. Those are
The spikes, these are diffraction spikes you get a lot of times in photos that can have very beautiful effects.
and they're quite often a little bit turned instead of straight.
Thread, or that's just white?
I think it's just white thread, yeah. So I do. This is another one in landscape. This is one I bought the rights from a Disney artist who did the original painting. Can you hold it high? I know you guys are tired. they need a break. So anyway, this one was in Mid-Atlantic Quilts Festival. It was also in Pennsylvania National Quilt Festival, and it won a couple of ribbons. And it was also at Houston. And so anyway, so I bought the rights, and he was very nice. He gave me the rights for one quilt.
Oh boy.
And so, and I could show them, and I could sell it, and all that stuff, you know. But anyway, my family calls this my Scooby-Doo quilt. So these wood shacks and all this wood, I cut out of wood-based looking commercial fabric, and I made strips, and I put them on like boards, you know. And the trees are tree fabrics that I had saved for years, and then those are appliqued on, and then I did a little painting to give them some dimension. Okay, but the limbs are, I did a lot of study of what these trees look like, you know, and then this is couched on yarn, and if you have a Bernina, it's foot number 43. So it's free motion couching, and then some of this is free motion couching, and some of this is too. And then the what is that called? Spanish moss, thank you. The Spanish moss is 12-weight wool that I stitched on free motion, but I had to, of course, put a line down the middle so I keep them straight. And that is a very nice 12-weight. That's Aurifil. Wonderfil also has a very nice 12-weight wool, but it has a little acrylic. Both of them have a little acrylic to give it some strength. And it does make a lot of fluff in your machine. You have to clean it out quite frequently.
What's the name of this quilt?
This is Night on the Bayou.
Reminds me of being down there.
Yeah. So anyway, and then these paints are reflective. If you turn out the lights, you can see those at night. And then I did fireflies, and the fireflies have a little bit of the reflective light, reflective paint with a crystal behind on it. So.
So the 12-weight, you couched that down, or did you?
12-weight I stitched down with a 116 needle, top stitch needle. It does very well. You just have to go slowly and pay attention to when it gets fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have to loosen your tension a little bit.
This was couched.
Yeah, that's
And these were stitched.
right. That's right. So then I did a fiction landscape from another planet at another time, in another space. This is Wizard's Duel.
2018.
Yeah, 2018. So it's a more recent quilt. And it has shown in 5 shows and has received a few ribbons. And it's, I don't know if you can see them. I went back actually and added a little bit more difference in the colors with thread on these things that were hard to see. So anyway, and I did ruler work for the border, and for this too, the spiral. You know, I have a couple of rulers.
This was on the Q20?
Yeah, for most of it. I mean, you know, most of it. Of course, the applique and stuff was on the 880. Or did I have my 880 then? I've only had my 880 for a couple of years, so it's probably 830.
The applique at the bottom, did you use your AccuQuilt Go or those
Yes.
size? Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what that is.
I love those. I have never, I bought the set, but I've never used them. Those are good ones
Yeah, they were
for that.
This might help you see the application.
They were Sarah Vedler had a quilt on the quilt show block of the month, and she had these that go with it. And I bought the things, but I never made it. But I have used the quilt, the designs quite often.
It's your back, so it's harder to see what's going on, but you can still see the stitching tool.
Yeah, so it has. I don't know. Turn it back around. It has the line at the top. I don't know if you can see it. There's a line that looks like maybe those are pterodactyls.
Are you talking about the flying geese?
Yeah, they're not flying geese. They're pterodactyls. Yeah, in my head.
The little unicorn over here.
Yeah, that's all free motion. This is free motion. The pterodactyls are ruler work. Yeah, so it was a complex quilt. So then I one of the things I do a lot is practice, and I'm going to show you one other quilt that I did a lot of practice for. And I'm not a very traditional quilter, but I still like to keep up with my traditional quilting. That's a Beth and Nemish design, and this is all polyester, by the way. So don't turn your nose up at polyester. A lot of it'll work well. And I was practicing feathers. And then I did a practice piece because when my mother passed away, I found some hand crochet pieces in her basket. And so I was going to make a quilt. And she always wanted a white. And so this is my practice piece that I worked things out on. Okay, I thought it came out well enough. I'll probably make a pillow of it someday. Excuse me, I seem to have a dry mouth. So then I made out of Mom's work basket.
Oh, beautiful.
Now, out of Mom's work basket is my one and only ribbon for traditional quilting. But it's not traditional. I didn't put it in the traditional category. This was from Pennsylvania Quilt Festival. And they put it in the traditional category, and it won a second place.
That's absolutely beautiful.
What?
Yes. My mother loved Scotties, so that's why the Scotty is there. Yeah, and the 5 pieces in the middle that form the star are the crochet pieces that I found in her work basket.
This is amazing. Turn that to
And this big star in the middle of the star is something from in the hoop. And so the swans, she always liked swans. So the swans are from in the hoop, and the flowers down the side, and the corner pieces.
Oh, those.
Yeah, those are in the hoop. And the flowers and the leaves are, all the quilting is free motion. And I painted the flowers and the leaves, and then added the pearls on the 5 pearls in the middle piece are from a necklace that she had that broke. And the rest of the pearls are hot fix crystal pearls from Swarovski. And
so they're in the center.
So I put a lot of pearls on there because she liked pearls. And so this is my tribute to my mom. And this is my latest show quilt. So this one won in 2021.
I love the colors.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And I will say, it's all polyester. Because I couldn't.
Against that sheet,
Yeah.
it gives it that silky tone
I
to
don't-
it.
Yeah.
Without being the expensive silk.
Right. It's much cheaper than silk. it washes,
Yes.
you know, and it quilts well. But you have to get a good quality polyester satin.
So do you change your needle often to avoid any snagging or any?
I use mostly superior top stitch titanium needles.
Titanium helps it go through.
Yeah, and it lasts a pretty long time. But you know, I listen. I don't change it by hours. I listen to when it goes plop, plop, plop. It's time to change your needle. And so, yeah, probably it would take 3 needles for this quilt.
Oh my gosh! Can you show the little label?
The little eagle.
Look at this. No.
Oh yeah, on the back.
Oh, that, this is her mother when she was younger, obviously, and then this is actually, I remember her mother in this age range.
And then open it up, and those pieces were also found in her work.
That's cute. Like butterfly.
And I really love this kind of quilting. It's so much fun, you know. So there you go. That seems to be. Now, do you have any questions?
You do all this quilting on your home machine, or do you send it out?
No, I do it all myself. However, some of it's on my 880, my Bernina 880 Plus, and some of it's on my Bernina Q20, which is a sit-down long arm.
Oh.
Beth has a gammal on her frame. So if I need to send it out, I know where to send it. The last thing to show you, I almost forgot, is wool on wool applique. If you are a Sue Spargo fan, okay, I don't know if you know who Sue Spargo is, but she does a lot of wool on wool. It's all by hand. But I thought you can do almost everything by machine that you can do by hand. Not quite, but nearly everything. And so I have a series on my YouTube channel, Betty Jo Tatum.
And you tell them how to do it.
Like 3 videos in that series?
Yeah, I tell you, I don't know.
I forget. I don't remember. But anyway, 2 or 3.
I tell you how to make these, and I also, if need be, when I'm doing one of these projects on my YouTube channel, I will provide a pattern and a workbook. Now, sometimes they cost, and sometimes they're free. And I don't remember this one, was it? But it's a modest cost, you know.
Birds are a great subject. I mean, this is really attractive. People, sometimes it's hard to find things that people, like for gifts. I can just see that this would be a fantastic gift.
But turn it around and show them how to do the pillow. I do buttons. Yeah.
Sometimes the buttons with buttons. It gets that's the problem with black.
Well, you just have to get the roller.
This is one where the titanium needle superior is really useful because your needle will get really fluffy. And the titanium helps with that. You still got to clean it regularly.
They also have a Schmetz one that is designed for sticky, non-sticky.
Yeah. Teflon?
No, I don't know. I think it's Teflon.
That might be.
But anyway, it doesn't attract as much crud either if you have to get a Schmetz needle. But it doesn't come in as long it doesn't come in a top stitch, which is part of my trouble with it, because I need the big top stitch line, because in a top stitch needle it has a bigger hole, so you can put bigger threads in it. And like these down here are wool threads, and that's all decorative stitching. So there you go. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you live anywhere near Manassas, Virginia, I'd encourage you to check out Suzzie's Quilt Shop. She has a wonderful collection of batiks. I'm sure she'd be happy to see you. Until next time, have fun in your studios.